Okay, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Please accept my humble obeisances. We'll recite some Mangalacharan prayers and get started with Bhagavad Gita. Continue with Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतापत्कमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं सतं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णापादां सहागण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चना गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं कृष्णचैतन्यं गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः Hare Krishna. Before we get started, I wanted to see, since we have some new devotees today, um, any questions you have? We discussed the glories of Harinam very briefly. Um, uh, any questions came to your mind, please share your realizations or questions. Or if Namita Mataji, Hema Mataji, Nana Prabhu, Hare Krishna, thank you for joining us. We're so blessed to have your association. And Rekha Mataji and Prinka Mataji also here. Anybody has any questions, realizations, thoughts, please share. Any limitations, difficulties you want to share.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Go ahead.
What I was saying, what you were saying regarding this chanting is, yeah, we all get distracted. And that is the hardest thing is to connect, to focus on. You're right. When we chant, there's so many times our mind goes to, oh, this is left. This is what we have to do. Oh, we forgot that. So definitely that is the part we all struggle with. That I struggle with a lot with that. So yes, if we can have that focus, we can concentrate. I think I'll be okay. But yeah, I struggle with that a lot too. Like my mind goes to, I always try to do it in the morning when you are much fresh, but definitely it's a struggle. Every day it's a struggle that your mind runs at 100 different places. Oh, you forgot to do that. Oh, you have to do this, or, Mehak needs this, Mehul needs this,
Right.
so that's definitely a struggle every day. So I'm right there, struggling every day to focus more and more on chanting and get my chanting better. So yeah.
Yes, Madhaji, this is very nice you shared. And this is a struggle with everybody. Only very advanced devotees are at the platform where they're able to focus completely. But especially as grihastas, we have so many attachments and so much bodily identification. We're not pure. We have so many entanglements, so many things to do in the day, right? That they take our attention. So that is why. So few things that I will share. Number one, don't worry. This struggle is a sweet struggle. This struggle is worth it. This is the struggle. This struggle is better than struggling in the material world. Okay. The struggle in chanting the names of the Lord Hari is more fruitful than the struggle that we experience the rest of the day with our profession or family or in people in general or various activities, various struggles that we have. This struggle is more fruitful and gives you eternal credit than those other struggles, right? Because those other things will just keep you tangled in cycle of birth and death. So it is said it is better to struggle in chanting the names than to struggle in 8.4 million species of life. So everybody's struggling anyways, right? Some people are struggling to lose weight, to get healthy, to look beautiful, to earn more money, to take care of their family, to give education to their kids, to marry their kids, whatever. Everybody's struggling in something or the other. But this struggle, but that struggle will end with your body, right? And then you will get another body and go into different type of struggles, right? Ant is also struggling, spider is also struggling, everybody. But this struggle, if you have this struggle, that means you are very, very already very advanced platform because you were given the opportunity to chant the names of the Lord, and you are fighting for this, fighting for the absolute truth. You know, to go back to God. And this fight is good. This is sweet fight. So we should fight. This is fight against Maya, right? And fight against Maya is not easy. You're a soldier in this fight. So please keep on fighting and struggling. It's good. Second, yes, Mataji. So don't think that you're alone. Everybody's in the same boat. Second thing, some tips to increase this. Focus more. We can, I always see that when we're in the association of devotees, we chant better. So Mataji, we started that japa call in the morning. Please feel free
Yeah.
join. You somehow it just gets better. Having other people struggle with you in chanting, it feels good. Oh, everybody is also chanting, so I will also, so you feel like focusing more. In association of devotees, chanting gets better. In front of Tulsi Maharani, chanting improves. If you can keep a Tulsi Maharani in front of you, if you can sit in the temple, it is better. If you can have a picture or deity of Krishna in front of you, or even put the Krishna's the Mahamantra in front of you, you can focus more. And regardless, the mind will still run away here and there. Mind is chanchal, very difficult to control. So then you gently bring it back. Whenever you feel lost, oh, ek pura round ho gaya and I did not pay any attention, then you gently bring it back. Okay, that's fine. This time I'm going to just focus on next 5 mantras and focus on each mantra nicely. Just keep bringing the mind gently back. That is another thing that was coming to my mind. Yes, Mataji, please. Right.
Yes. So I have two questions. One is that the verses that we recited today, are they from the Bhagavad Gita, and can I follow them if the chapter and the verses are from the same textbook?
Yes, so do you have this Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita as it
I
is?
Yes, I have this one.
Yes, perfect. So in the introduction of this Bhagavad Gita, if you open, those verses are given. So this is the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, and you see the first verse is the one that we recited. So we recited all these verses, first verse and the next one, and then the next one, like that. So it's all in the introduction.
So are we doing the introduction right now, or are we doing the chapter 15?
We're doing chapter 15. These verses are called invocation prayers, or they are auspicious prayers. So whenever you start anything, when we chant always some hymns or mantras to invocate the auspiciousness, to invite the presence of the Lord and our teachers, so that they can bless us while we are reading. Because on our own, we don't have any power, any strength to share this advanced knowledge, this spiritual knowledge. So we ask for their mercy that I may be able to share and everybody may be able to hear it with the proper mood, proper feeling and love in their heart. That it goes inside their heart as it is meant to be. So we invite auspiciousness in that,
All right.
by singing these verses. Yes.
Okay. I have one more question.
Yes.
That sometimes in the morning, like when we cannot like not on timely take bath and do puja, like we have to drop kids, like I have to drop the kids. So should I feel guilty that I could not wake up early and do the puja first? And like, is it okay? Like sometimes we cannot do the puja and aarti on time, like the early morning hours, and we rather do it around like 9. Is it okay to feel like, um, like I just want to ask you that, should you feel
Sure.
guilty about it, that I cannot do this things that I should have done like early morning before sunrise?
Yes, Mataji, very nice question. So, the path that we are following, I'm just going to mute you. There is a disturbance that comes. Is that okay? And then you unmute when you're talking again. So this path that we are following, our teacher, our supreme teacher, Srila Prabhupada, whose Bhagavad Gita we are reading, whose instructions we are following, the main instruction that we have been given is to chant the names of the Lord. Okay? Everything else is quite secondary to that. So the process is that, if you can wake up in the morning and chant the names of the Lord on the beads, then that is recommended, because in this age of Kali Yuga, this is Kali Yuga, right? Kali Yuga, or Iron Age going on, right? How there are 4 yugas: Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, we are very impure. Our mind is not very focused, our body is not very pure, our habits are not very spiritual or aligned, right? So deity worship was the process given in Dwapar Yuga. So deity worship is not the prescribed mode of deliverance in this age. Okay. So for us, the for people of Kali Yuga, who are very lazy, who are very impure, who have so many entanglements, who are full of anxiety, who are, it is in Bhagavatam, it is said that they are quarrelsome, they are, full of hypocrisy, our lives are very short. So people of Kali Yuga who have all these deficiencies, they are not able to do the deity worship in the most sanctified manner. So for us, the chanting of the names has been given as this as the duty of this age. So for the living entities of Kali Yuga, the prescribed duty that has been given to achieve Godhead is by chanting the names of the Lord, not so much by deity worship. So we make it our prime duty to at least chant the names of the Lord, a certain prescribed number. It could be 11 times you chant the names. It could be, 108 times you chant. It could be 108 times, 3 or 4 times, right? Like 3 or 4 beads, basically 3 or 4 round of beads you do. Like that, we chant, each of us chant a prescribed number. After that, if we are able to, deity worship, or if we can include deity worship either before or after that, we include that in our routine. But we give prominence to chanting of the names of the Lord as the prime mode of worship. So if you are able to include that in your routine and do deity worship either in the morning or at any time, if you can do, let's say you're not able to do Mangal Aarti, but you can do Sandhya Aarti better. You have that time better, or in the afternoon you can do Aarti better, right? So you do that. If you're not able to do any kind of deity worship, fine. At least chant a certain number of rounds, but eat sanctified food, eat prashadam, offer certain, at least not everything, but at least some things to the Lord, and eat that bhoga, offer to Lord and accept that bhoga, right? So we try to start with the basic minimum of at least chanting, and if we can include deity worship in our routine, fine. If we cannot, then don't feel guilty about it. Okay, the you have to add Krishna in your life. You should not feel guilty about not able to do things perfectly. Okay, because adding Krishna itself in our life is very, very difficult. It is not. Our tendency is to just engage in sense enjoyment and fulfill all our desires, and do so many different things in this world. So adding Krishna itself is very, very difficult. So whatever you can do, if you can chant certain number of rounds, if you can do certain times deity worship, if you can hear some scriptures or read scriptures on your own, if you can associate with devotees, offer bhoga to the Lord and honor that prasadam, visit the temple, go to the dham or the pilgrimages. People keep adding more and more, but you start with the basic minimum, and the basic minimum is to chant certain number of names of the Lord every day. So I will not, worry about, if you can purify. The pure standards of deity worship are very high, that you have to take a bath, you have to, you cannot even make bhoga without taking a bath and things like that. But we don't follow that kind of strict standards, because Prabhupada has told us the deficiencies to expect in this Kali Yuga. And he recommended that the basic minimum we should do is to chant the names of the Lord and to eat prasad. Those two things he recommended mostly.
Right. Yeah. I think that is all.
Yes,
It
yes.
sums up everything. I do puja every morning, every evening. I do Shanknath, I do Surya Puja, then Tulsi Puja, then. But it's just that, sometimes it gets like really 1 hour. So I was like, some days I want to, like, shorten it. So, I just don't want to feel guilty about it, that today I couldn't read this, or I couldn't do that kavach, and I couldn't do that. So, sometimes it becomes like too elaborate. Sometimes, like, I have to. So it brings in some sort of guilt that, today what I used to do every day, today I missed on one part, one thing. So I was just, yeah. So I think you summed it up. It's not that that I should feel guilty. I should just chant the name, and whatever I'm doing, I think I'm doing it with all the devotion and intention should be right, and I think that's important.
Yes, Mataji, I would recommend adding chanting of the names to the routine,
Right,
because
right.
that has like you just heard in the song, that is the most purifying. So slowly our purification will happen. And then deity worship, there are certain standards that you have to follow. So, you can shorten it. Again, it has been recommended. I think I spoke to Hema Mataji in detail about this the other day. You can shorten it, where you can just do actually. In 7 8 minutes you can finish the DT worship. It should not take too long, because if you are going to take too long, it will be very difficult to engage in the other processes of devotional service, which are more recommended and which are actually more helpful in our advancement. DT worship is not the most recommended method for this age. So I would say that limit, we should pay obeisances, we should offer certain items to the Lord, and we should take blessings from the Lord and sing certain number of certain prayers. Yes, but don't do a very elaborate deity worship. We are not Brahmins, right? We are not. We are just serving the deities in our Lord, in our home, right? So don't do a very elaborate deity worship, because that will take away from the other processes which are actually more prescribed and are more helpful in advancement in this age. We are spending, almost 1.5 hours in chanting of the names of the Lord, which is a prescribed method. And I'd say please add little, maybe one round, or Hema Mataji can share with you about that. Uh, but yes, it's very inspiring that even in the Kali Yuga, people are doing such nice deity worship, devotees like you. That is very inspiring to see. But add other things also. And so whenever you add more, obviously it will cut time from, because we have limited number of hours in the day, so it will cut time from certain other practices. But nothing should make you feel guilty, as long as you're spending time in remembering the Lord. And he's Bhavgrahi Janardhan, so he's not expecting the best etiquettes and best standards of devotion. He's looking at your love and devotion, your bhav. He's Bhavgrahi, so he will accept your bhav. So with that mood, do some deity worship, do a little chanting, do a little hearing and reading also, and cooking prasadam for your deities, and then accepting that, honoring that prasadam. So add a few limbs. Is that okay, Mataji? Yes, Hema Mataji wanted to add to that.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I was just adding, actually, Namita, first of all, I was going to say what Namita Mataji already expressed, that, chanting is never high quality. Like, the struggle is real, and it is a struggle every day. You feel one day that you progressed a little bit, and then you go back, you fall back. So I think that echoes with, I think, all devotees, that as we are so young in our devotion, And secondly, I was going to say, even in spite of, I think the Lord is so merciful that in spite of our deficiencies, He always gives us a chance to do more, serve more, involve us in the prayers more. There's always opportunities that at least I've noticed that, that let me be a part of, Sankirtans and, association with devotees. In spite of the deficiencies that I've had the fortunate, of meeting very senior devotees. And I think that's the mercy of the Lord, that He's looking at every effort. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for sharing. I think Mataji got darshan of His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, Rompad Swami Maharaj, and maybe many more. I mean, this is just from my very, very brief interaction with her. Okay, I think Nidhu want to share something?
Hare Krishna, so to all devotees. This is actually very nice it is prescribed actually in Nectar of Instruction that we should be discussing our struggles in this process with other devotees, opening our heart to other devotees and discussing about it. Actually, one, it lightens our load, and secondly, it keeps us to a standard where we are trying to progress. For chanting, the process and the destination is the same, that our goal is to chant perfectly, and the process of how to chant perfectly is by chanting itself. So the more we chant, the better our chanting will become. However, at the same time, we need to keep ourselves up to a standard to try to get better every time, so that it doesn't just become like a task, like a mundane task that we are just we have to finish it. So we are just let's just finish it. And again, that's what happens. I know, because that happens to me. That is why I'm sharing this. One of the biggest obstacle to my chanting, I know, is that I need to keep the phone away from me. That is a big obstacle, because I think that is where Maya tries to get you. Okay, I'll just read this message, or I'll just do this, or this is really important right now. I have to do this. Let me just finish this, and that is a big obstacle for me that I have to work on. And I pray. We have to pray to Krishna to give us the strength so that we can better. When we pray to Krishna, we should pray that Krishna, please help us so that we can chant better. We can focus more on our sincere chanting, and same to prayers of devotees help. So please pray for me so that I can chant better in the future. And chanting in the morning, I think some people have mentioned that is also really beneficial, because early in the morning, before kids have got up, before we have started other things in the day, it helps, because then we don't have as many things on our mind trying to get our attention. So we can try to focus at least a little bit better. Brahma Muhurat is recommended in the Shastras also, is the ideal time for spiritual activities. One of the reasons being this, and then the other reason being that actually our concentration is much better at that time. So yeah, those are just some things I wanted to mention as I heard the devotees sharing their heart. And then one other thing I was thinking about is talking about what should be done and should not be done in terms of deity worship and how much we are able to do. Deity worship is definitely very good. It is, Prabhupada actually recommends all grihasthas should be doing deity worship if possible. So it is wonderful that Mataji is doing that. And other than that is, there's a shloka which says, that was coming to my mind, is Smartavyam satatam Vishnu vismaytarva najatu chit sarve vidhi nishedhasur kinkara, is it? It is kinkara. So like basically what it means is that Smartavya Satyam Vishnu. So Smartavya Satatam Vishnu means that we should always remember Vishnu. Vismay Tarvyo na Jatuchit. We should never forget Krishna or Vishnu. Right? So we should always remember Krishna. We should never forget Krishna. These are the two basic principles. Right? And then it says, Sarve Vidhi Nishedashu, that all other vidhi, all other vidhi vidhan, all the other regulations are like dust or pebbles in front of these two principles. These two are the highest principles. So whenever we are doing something or thinking about something, or is this right or wrong, or in a, trying to make a decision or thinking about that, should I, I'm not able to do this, or should I have limited time, what should I do? So those two things should be there. That is it helping me to remember Krishna, and it is not taking me away from thinking about Krishna, and everything else is secondary to these two principles, and all the rules and regulations of this world, or for even praying or anything, everything, if we can hold them to these standards, then it is good. Otherwise, they are not that important. So, yeah, thank you very much. That's all I wanted to share. Hare Krishna.
Okay, we both. And this is the verse from Bhagavatam that I want to share. This comes in 12th canto. So remember there are 12 cantos in Bhagavatam. तृतीयाध्यायतो विष्णुं त्रेतायां यजतो मखै द्वापरे परिचर्यायां कलाौ तद्हरिकीर्तनात्. That whatever benefits you could get in the Satyug by meditating on the Lord, Dhyayato, Tretayam, in Treta Yug by Yagyas or fire sacrifices. Remember how many fire sacrifices Lord Ram did? So many, right? Thousands of fire sacrifices, right? So by fire sacrifice or by Yagyas, the benefit that one got in Treta Yug. Dwapare Paricharyayam. In Dwapar Yug, you got the benefit by deity worship, right? In the Kalau or in the Kali Yug, you get that same benefit by Hari Kirtan, Tad Hari Kirtana, by worshipping, by chanting the names of the Lord. So I think if you're all okay, let's read some verses from Bhagavad Gita. Is that okay? We're reading chapter 15. We don't have too much time, so I'll just do maybe this one verse because it is very important, and then we'll move on next time and more people join. So this is a memory verse from chapter 15. A lot of kids have actually already memorized it. 15.7. Please lead and follow behind me. Mamevamamshu jeevaloke
Mamevamshu jivaloke
jeevabhuta sanatana
jiva bhuta sanat
manashashtani indriyani
manashashtani indriyani
prakriti sthani karshati
prakriti sthani karshati
mamevamamshu jeevaloke
Mamevamshu jivaloke
jeevabhuta sanatana
jiva bhuta sanat
manashashtani indriyani
manashashtani indriyani
prakriti sthani karshati.
prakriti sthani karshati
Once more. Mamevamamshu jeevaloke
Mamevamshu jivaloke
jeevabhuta sanatana
jiva bhuta sanat
manashashtani indriyani
manashashtani
Indrani
prakriti sthani karshati.
prakriti sthani
Anyone wants to read the translation?
Tanji, I can read it.
Yes.
The living entities in the conditional world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditional life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. Hari Bol.
Very bold. Thank you, Mataji, for reading. So just to give a context, we are reading chapter 15, the Yoga of the Supreme Person or Purushottam Yoga. So initially, Krishna talked about this material world, how this material world is just like a reflection of the actual spiritual world. He compared it to the banyan tree, right? That how there is reflection of banyan tree on the water. Similarly, this material world is nothing but a reflection of the actual spiritual world in the water. And the water is basically our desires. So as long as we have desires, as long as we have this false ego, this will to enjoy separate from Krishna, the propensity for sense enjoyment, material desires, as long as we have that, the material world will keep existing for us. We will keep circulating and accepting various, will keep circulating in various species and accepting various bodies, right? This is what we learned so far. Then in verse before this, 15.6, Krishna said, he talked about the glories of his dham. That why are you stuck in this, miserable place, this dukhalyam ashashvatam, this anityam asukham lokam, you're circulating in all these species and suffering so hard. Why are you doing that? Why don't you come to my spiritual abode? And look at my spiritual abode. This spiritual abode where there is no need for illumination by sun or moon or fire or electricity, which is self-illuminated by my effulgence, which is lighted up by my effulgence. Tad dhama paramam mama. That abode from which nobody comes back is that supreme abode of mine. Why don't you come back to me? Come back to Godhead. It's like a very rich father whose son has become estranged from him. He has left the house and now he is struggling very hard on the streets. People are exploiting him. He has no money to feed himself. He's looking for clothes and medicines and shelter and food. And the father, is trying to reach out to him. Father is sending his agents, like Krishna sends Guru to us. This father is sending agents to this estranged son. Come back to me. What enjoyment are you getting on these streets, being roughened up by people, huh? I can give you everything. This abode of mine has everything. I will give you all kind of comforts and unlimited joy and unlimited happiness, right? So the wise thing, the intelligent person will accept that offer and go back to his father and enjoy that, unlimited happiness and wealth and everything that father is offering, right? So this is the situation with us, that we have chosen to suffer away from Krishna, and Krishna is saying, come back to me, right? Na tadbhasate suryo na shashanko na pavaka yadgatvana nivartante tadhama paramam mama. So that place, that supreme abode of mind, which does not need any of these material energies, which does not need any of these material elements. You're not dependent. Like here, you are so dependent on all these material energies for your basic needs. You cannot cook without water. You cannot wash up or clean yourself without water. You cannot make prasadam without fire. You cannot have, if you don't have electricity, your internet will not run, your air conditioning will not run, and you will suffer so much, right? If for one day our air conditioning does not run, we suffer so much. One day our plumbing goes haywire, we suffer so much. So in this material world, you're suffering because of so many problems, so many energies that you're dependent on, and they're all my inferior energies. Why don't you come to this supreme abode of mine, right? So then in the next verse, so that's where we finished last time. So Krishna was giving the glorifications of his abode, that supreme abode is mine. And having once come there, you never come back to me, come back to this miserable place again. So in this verse now, what is Krishna saying? Mam evam amsho jiva loke. So what does the word amsha means? Who can say amsha? I have a nephew whose name is Ansh or Amsh. What does that mean? It's a Hindi word.
Part,
right? Ansh of something, right? Part of something, amsha, right? So basically, amsha basically means a part of something. So he's saying, mam eva amsho, you are my amsha, you are my part, fragmental part, jiva loke. Okay? The living entities, all the living entities in this world, not just humans, even demigods, all the devtas, and not just devtas, even the animals, and not only just animals, even the demons, whether they're lower species, higher species, birds, reptiles, plants, animals, all living entities. He's not saying humans. The living entities are my fragmental parts. Mam eva mamsho jiva loke. Jiva bhuta sanatana. They are my eternal parts. They are sanatani. They are eternally my fragmental parts. Jeev Bhuta. Bhuta means living entities. Mana Shashthan. So why are they stuck here? Arjun may say, or you might say, you've described the glories of your abode and you have described the miseries of this material world. Then why would we still choose to be stuck here in this material world? So then Krishna is telling us, why are we stuck here? Because of our mana. Mana means mind. Shashthani indriyani, because of our six senses, six indriyas or senses, including mind, which is seven senses. So mana shashtani indriyani, prakriti sthani, six senses, including mind, not seven, six senses, including mind. We are stuck in this material world and going through various difficulties in this prakriti, in this material world. Prakriti sthani karshati. Karshati means struggling very hard. So we are struggling very hard. These living entities are all my fragmental parts, but because of their mind and senses, they are stuck in this material world and struggling very hard. So now you know the source of our miseries. Why are we struggling? Because of our mind and senses, right? So how can anybody, I want to hear from everybody, how do you think we are struggling with our mind and senses in this world? We've talked about this many times. Can somebody give some examples? How does our mind and senses, these six things, six senses, make us struggle in this material world? It keeps us stuck here, so we don't go back.
Ego.
Yes, Mataji, ego. Okay. Yes, Namita Mataji.
Like eating the like a tongue wise, we should be eating prasadam, but we want to eat all the other things we have. So I think that plays a big thing. Like we should be trying to eat prasadam more other than other things, offer to the Lord first. So
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. And like the other sense which we're talking about is the eyes, like to see things and hear things. We want to hear more movies and things like that, see movies. But if we hear Hari Kirtan, um, so I think the senses that do play a big part.
Yes, Mataji, perfect. Yes, thank you. Who else would like to give some examples, share more? Yes, Nana Prabhu and Hema Mataji, please share.
I think also the sense of like in our mind, we should engage it, like we already spoke about this, like we should be engaging it more in taking name of Krishna, and we have all the other things which are less important, but they are priorities, and we struggle. I think that's the biggest struggle that we have is keep bringing our mind back to Krishna's name and chanting.
Yeah, but that is a good, we talked about it, right? It's a good thing. So you're using your mind in a good way, actually. You're focusing on Krishna. But how are they keeping us here? You're right, mind is distracting us, right? It is taking us towards other things, right? So what is there in other things? What is there? Why are we going towards other things when Krishna's abode is so supreme?
More fascinating, I guess. If our mind is playing tricks on us, that those other things are more fascinating. So it's just playing tricks,
Sure.
right?
Yes, Mataji. Yes, Manju Mataji, please share.
I feel that sometimes, like when we have access to, one is like internet, TV. So even though we know it's time to go to bed, or maybe now I have free time, we can do better things. But since we have access to a lot of things, we just try to see some, like, some of the news which are like gossip, which have no role in our lives, but we just want to just go through them as entertainment. So we just go into them, and one after the other, we just get like, carried away with those things. So even though we know it is like a waste of time for us, but the mind is like so much into it, and it is in, like, I think as Namita one of the Matajis, she said that it's more fascinating, and we kind of get entertained more, even though we know that this is going to just be a waste of time and nothing of no use to us, but still we just want to watch it again and again. So the mind is just taking us there, and then we know, and after one like a certain time, we're like, oh, What a time we wasted. Now then we get back to our routine. Again, for the food, when we've eaten our food, we've had our meal nicely. But then when we come to the kitchen, we feel that, oh, let's make something, even though we're not hungry. But oh, let's just eat something, let's make tea, if nothing else. So I think the mind and the indriyas go in that direction where we should not, and that's where we should stop ourselves, but we cannot sometimes. So I think this is my a kind of
Yes.
a story.
Yes, Mataji, perfectly. All of you shared perfectly. So all of your answers, I will compile, I'll summarize into two words. Okay, this tendency of mind to go towards different things, of tongue to want something, of eyes to want to see something. You know, we all our senses want to do different things, right? We want to enjoy the ras, roop, gandh, shabd, sparsh, right? All these things that we want to enjoy. With our eyes we want to see good things, with our tongue we want to taste something nice or eat more and more, with our stomach wants more even though it is full. Our ears want to hear something melodious. Our hands, our skin wants to touch something soft, right? And our mind wants to think of these pleasing situations, conjure up dreams of, oh, if I was so rich, I'd be doing this, I'd be traveling, whatever. So many things the mind would create. What is all this called? All the senses and mind trying to do different things, this is called enjoyer propensity, right? We have this enjoyer tendency, meaning that we forget that we are not the enjoyer, that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, Lord is the supreme enjoyer, right? He's the enjoyer, we are the enjoyed, we are the servants of the Lord. So imagine now, you work in a bank, the money belongs to the bank, or money belongs to the customers. You are working in the bank, you are working very hard every day, but one day you decide to take $10 from the account, one of the accounts in the bank, and keep for yourself. The bank will kick you out, right? Because you did a fraud. You took the money from the bank, right? That money did not belong to you. You were just an accountant. You were supposed to handle the money for the bank. You were supposed to take the money from the customer, put it in the account. As such, not a penny less, not a penny more, right? But now one day you kept $10 from it for yourself because you wanted to enjoy with that $10, right? So now you are a cheat and a fraud, right? So that is called enjoyer tendency. Instead of being a servant of the bank, now from a servant you became a cheater, right? Similarly, let's say you have a domestic help, right? In India, people have maids and servants like that working for you. They're supposed to put everything in place. They're supposed to clean up and everything. One day, the servant decided to keep one beautiful piece of your decoration for themselves, right? And hung it in their home, right? Then that day that servant will be kicked out because they stole from you, right? Because they tried to enjoy that piece. The piece was meant for master. But instead of letting master enjoy that, the servant decided to keep it for himself, right? So now you become a cheat, right? So this is called enjoyer propensity, the enjoyer tendency, that with our senses, we were given this body as a tool, as an instrument to work in the service of the Lord, okay? Instead, we decided to use this body, this mind and senses in our enjoyment, okay? We decided to use this in our enjoyment. So then we become a cheat, a fraud, not a servant, but we try to become a master ourselves, okay? Um, there is a verse in third chapter that actually we like to recite before eating prasadam. Whenever we go outside, we are eating and we're not able to offer bhoga. This is what the verse that we recite to remind ourselves that we are cheating today. The verse is Yagya Shishtashina Santo Muchyante Sarvakil Vishe Punjte Te Twagham Papa Ye Pachanti Atma Karanat. What does that verse say? Krishna, very powerful verse. He's saying Yagya Shishta Shinasanto Muchyante Sarv Kilbisha. Everything is meant for my enjoyment. Everything is meant for me. But those who are eating for themselves, Atma Karnat, they are cheating. They are stealing. So Yagya Shishta Shinasanto Muchyante Sarv Kilbishe. Bhunjte te tvagam papa. They're eating sin. They're eating pap. Who are eating for themselves. Bhunjte meaning eating. Te tvagam. They're eating only pap or sin. Bhunjte te tvagam papa. Ye pachanti atma karna. Who are eating for their own sense enjoyment. So that is why it is recommended to eat prasadam, because prasadam is first offered to the Lord and then we accept it, right? So that is how you can sum this whole tendency, why I want to watch something, why I want to hear something, why I want to eat something, even though I've eaten my fill, I want to keep eating more. Why do I want to enjoy something soft or beautiful? Because I have this enjoy tendency, because I have this lordship tendency. And that makes us suffer, that keeps us entangled, so we get reactions. So anything that we don't do in service of the Lord, anything that we do for our own service, for our own enjoyment, we get reactions for that, and that keeps us entangled in this cycle of birth and death, and we struggle very hard in this material world. Prakriti sthani karshati. So situated in this world, we are struggling very hard because of our mind and senses, because they have their enjoy tendency. They want to enjoy with this body that we've been given, not using it in service of Krishna. So it is a tool. It is a yantra rudani maya. Krishna says in later chapter that in 18th chapter, that this body is like my yantra, my tool, my instrument. That is given to you by me for my service, not to use for your own enjoyment. Yeah, so we are like the pen in the hand of author. Krishna is the author, we are the pen. He wants to write stories with us, but instead of writing his story, we are just writing some nonsense. He's the musician and we are the guitar that he's playing. So if the guitar decides he has his own mind, starts doing something else, then he will be playing some nonsense music instead of the musician who could have played some beautiful melodies with it. So like that. Imagine, you make a robot to do service for you, to do your job in the house, right? But instead of cleaning the house, that small robot that cleans the house, right? It starts eating you. It starts destroying things in the house, right? That's what we are doing in this material world. We are destroying things. We are killing Lord's other living entities, the other animals. We are destroying the trees and we are destroying the planet, and we are just using everything for our own enjoyment. And that's why we're stuck here and keep circling in the cycle of birth and death, struggling very hard. So that is what I understand, and Prabhupada explains. Please add and ask any questions.
Yes, I was just thinking about it was reminding me of a lecture by very nice speaker, Amogila Prabhu. But he was mentioning that this mind is like it's really a rascal, because it first wants you to do something, and when you do it, it will give you guilt about it. Like, why did you do it? First it will say, okay, you eat this, and then it will be like, oh, see, you were so bad, you ate this, now you're going to get fat, and you shouldn't have eaten this or whatever. So just like that, the mind needs to be controlled with intelligence. That's why we have intelligence to reign over the mind. But if we let the mind run free without intelligence, then it will take us to do the wrong things. And that's why we want to train our intelligence to be able to control the mind. So that is what we need to work on. We have discussed the example of how this body is a chariot, and the soul is the person who's riding this chariot. In this chariot, mind is like the person who's the horses of this chariot are like the senses that want to take us in any direction. The reins have to keep the senses in control. So these reins are like the mind, but the intelligence is like the driver who needs to control the reins. Otherwise, the horses of the senses will go astray and every place. So, I said that really fast just because I think most of us, we have discussed this example multiple times, but if it is confusing, we can always just look up, the example of chariot online, and it will you can spend more time on it. Or I know we are getting to the end of the class, so I will end here. But yeah, basically we need to be able to control our mind with our intelligence, and train our intelligence to control the mind appropriately.
We go. So does that answer? Hima Mataji and Manju Mataji still there? Yes, Mataji, you have a question? So yeah, so that like Nirbhay Prabhu said, the mind and the senses will try to act and enjoy independently of Krishna, right? Even in Bhagavatam, we were reading just the other day, there is no value to do anything when it is independent of Krishna. Everything else that we do is like zeros. And there is no value to zero. Even if you put 10 zeros, they're all equal to zero, unless you put that one in front of it. You need that one in front of the zeros to make a number matter, bring certain value to it. Otherwise, it will all be zero. So you can keep adding property and so many material desires, or so many family and so much friends and so much Facebook followers, or name, fame, followers, fortune, whatever you want. They're all just nothing but zeros unless you put that one in front of it. So which is Krishna. So yes, so mind we have to control, senses we have to control and use them in the service of Krishna, not let them enjoy independently of Krishna too much. But we are bound by our desires. This is called आशा पाश. पाश होता है ना बंधन. जैसे लक्ष्मण जी था ना, क्या था उनका, नागपाश. Lakshman ji was bound by nagpash, right? So pash is a bandhan. So we are bound by our desires. It is called asha pash. So we have to break that asha pash. How can we break that? How can we cleanse our desires slowly so that we don't have so much enjoy propensity to serve the Lord and his devotees more? By chanting the names of the Lord, by indulging in various limbs of devotional service, right? Um, Association of devotees, A, B, C, D, E. Association of devotees, books, meaning Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and other scriptures, right? C, chanting the names of the Lord. D, diet, eating Krishna diet, prasad, right? And E, entering into the dhams, meaning visiting temples and pilgrimages and all. And this is the verse that I was quoting. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for the sacrifice. Others, sacrifice meaning you're offered as bhoga to the Lord. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin. Bhunte te tvagham papa ye pachantyatma karana. So we should try to align our desires with those of Krishna and try to become a humble servant to the Lord and his devotees. It is very hard, easier said than done, but that's why we were saying it's a struggle. And so we keep struggling. As long as we know what our goal is, what our aspiration is, we can struggle towards that goal. That's all I have to share. Hare Krishna. So we'll continue more. Next time we'll, I think, change the time to 9 o'clock, and we have to shift the class to Saturday also. Okay. For joining. Nana Prabhuji, you're sharing. I'm sorry, couldn't hear you before.
No, madam. I just wanted to just inform you. So we were talking about the daily puja.
Yes, Prabhuji.
In the first part, we were talking about the daily puja. How to perform the daily puja. Even the government of India has now introduced the vocational course. how to मंत्र पठन, how to उच्चार, मंत्रों का उच्चार कैसे करना है, क्या करना है, इसके लिए vocational course first time in the history of India they have introduced the 6 months vocational course. That is just why I wanted to share you. This is the today's news.
Very bold. Prabhuji, can you share it on the group also? Your voice was cutting off quite a bit, but what I understood was that Government of India has introduced like a proper course in DT worship.
Yeah. DT worship, mantra padhan, everything they have included this.
Amazing.
Wow, it's amazing. I was just talking today, discussing that, we got this WhatsApp messages. Today we got one that in the, with the Queen died, so they were doing ceremonies for that. So one of the ceremonies in Britain, for the Queen's paying respects is students reciting shlokas from, I don't know where the shloka is from, but they're reciting shlokas. So that's so amazing that we are not, in our schools, in our places, we are not teaching this. And others, people are, they are valuing this knowledge more than we are. So this is wonderful to hear that actually, our Indian government is also doing something, and these things are getting value in India itself, where they originate from.
Yeah, yesterday during our book distribution, we met a priest in one of the temples here. He said that it is so inspiring to see that people, not of Hindu culture, Hindu origin, foreigners, other like Russians, Ukrainians, they are chanting they're taking refuge, taking shelter under the names of the Lord in their such difficult situation. That still taking shelter of the Lord's names when we have gone so far away from all these practices, and they were our culture. So so this is amazing to hear, Prabhuji.
Thank you for sharing.
Yes, thank you so much. Okay, we'll continue discussion next time. Much. कृपा सिंधुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः